thank you very much for having this opportunity to talk a little bit about the bilateral relations and the engagement of Germany in the Middle East, in the Gulf region. I think the bilateral relationships between Germany and Qatar are strong, very close, trustful, and intense. And this reflects, if I may, list the intensity of bilateral visits in the last 1.5 to 2 years. We had in May 2022 His Highness the Emir in Berlin, and there we discussed essentially the energy partnership, which later was signed. The Federal Chancellor was in Doha only 4 months later, in September 2022. Then we had the German Foreign Minister coming here in May 2023, and she signed a paper on establishing a strategic dialogue between Qatar and Germany. Then again, a visit of His Highness the Emir was agreed for 12th of October 2023 in Berlin. I mentioned the date so precisely because that happened to be a week or less than a week after the incidents in and around the Gaza Strip occurred. And so, of course, the issue of the situation in Gaza after the attack of Hamas to Israel, and the taking of hostages from Israel, Israeli hostages, but also German hostages, other international hostages, was very high on the agenda during the visit of His Highness to Berlin. And then you mentioned end of November, November 29th, if I'm not mistaken, our federal president, Frank-Walter Steinmeier, came from 2 state visits in Israel and in Oman back to Germany, and he decided I make a stopover in Doha to brief His Highness on my talks in these 2 countries, since we met only 6 weeks ago in Berlin, and we had a very intensive exchange of views. And so he came here for 3.5, 4 hours just to Doha, and he met personally the Emir, and also later on in delegation, and the Emir offered lunch for the whole delegation. But essentially, the 2 heads of states met privately on these issues. So why I'm saying all that? To show that our relationship is on a very high level, very close, very intense, and it covers all ranges of relations you can imagine, the political, security, economic ties, scientific cooperation, but also humanitarian aid facing the situation in Gaza. Yeah, you mentioned both sides. So we have, on the one hand, the German presence of companies in Qatar. We have offices of about more or less 40 German companies who are permanently here present with offices. That doesn't mean that there are not more German companies coming here for doing business. They do that across a whole range of sectors: engineering, energy, automotive, logistics, technology, have established a presence in Qatar and thus contributing to the country's economic growth and diversification efforts. And these companies, of course, provide jobs, and they contribute to the social welfare of the state of Qatar. They also bring advanced technology, expertise, and innovative solution to Qatar. And I recently visited the Web Summit, and there I could see the high standard of cooperation in the field of technology. because Qatar, as many other states in the region, are very open-minded towards new technologies, towards new solutions, also in the medical sector, in the transportation sector. And this openness is an open door for German, especially small and medium-sized companies, to cooperate with Qatar. So we had, for example, companies who are interested in establishing themselves in the free zone, and university cooperation, artificial intelligence played a role. So you have a huge variety of sectors. And the value and products and services made in Germany are in high esteem here in Qatar, and therefore it's a very interesting market. It's not a huge one, of course. Qatar has not the size of India or China, but nevertheless it's an important market here in the region. And in the run-up to the World Championship and to the World Cup in 2022, a whole range of infrastructure projects, such as the metro development or the design of the enlargement of Lusail city, played a great role. So what to expect further? A lot, I would say. The alignment of Qatar's National Vision 2030 with Germany's expertise presents many possibilities and avenues for deeper collaboration and investments. German companies offer, for example, a variety of services and products which are relevant for Qatar's priorities in its national vision, for example, food security, the health sector, logistics, and many others. So German companies are ready for business with interested Qatari partners and clients. I realized in the beginning of my term how high the interest on the Qatari side is in having the opportunity to learn the German language, and after learning the language also having opportunities to study in Germany or to work there, and having closer bilateral relations. I mean, Germany itself has 84 million inhabitants, and if you add other German-speaking countries in Europe, it's more than 100 million people speaking German in Europe. That makes German within the European Union to the most spoken language. UK is not anymore part of the EU, but even with UK, English is less spoken in the European Union than German and French. I was positively surprised by this interest, and we have opportunities to teach German at the Hamad bin Khalifa University, I think. There is an institute for German language, and they certify the language courses like the Goethe Institute. The local one is based in Abu Dhabi, but they take care also of language courses in Qatar. The Qatari-German bilateral relationship has strengthened a lot over the years, leading to increased collaboration and investment opportunities between our two countries. About 25 billion US dollars of Qatari investments in Germany, and that is mainly in Volkswagen, Siemens, Deutsche Bank, RWE, energy sector, and many others. Germany is Qatar's fifth biggest trading partner, and Qatari investors are recognizing the long-term potential of partnering with German companies seeking opportunities for joint ventures, acquisitions, and strategic partnership. Therefore, we are very glad about the existence of the AHK, that is the German Chamber, German Industry and Commerce Office, and the German Business Council Qatar, GBCQ, in Doha. And we as the embassy collaborate with them very closely. Recently, the German Association for Small and Medium-Sized Business, the so-called the German Mittelstand, opened an office here in Tornado Tower. And I was very happy to see this morning that the visit of this institution in Doha, you published an article in the today's Peninsula issue in the business section here. So we have quite some institutions which are taking care of the bilateral economic relations. And as you know, the German Chamber is part of the worldwide network and structure of the German Chamber of Commerce, representing German business interests abroad, all over the world. The GBCQ is a non-profit seeking voluntary association representing all interested Qatari and German companies and engaged in business activities in both countries, Qatar and Germany. Now, the chamber is worldwide. The GBCQ is a bilateral thing, especially of German companies present in Doha. So together we are working towards the same goal, to further deepen German-Qatari business relations. And we believe that it has great potential to grow further. Tourism in Germany grew a lot over the last year. Since there is more and more interest of foreigners coming to Germany to see landscape, to see culture, to use specific clinics for medical health, and combining that with rehabilitation and getting a better health. And there has been established already quite a good relationship with many Arab countries in the past, especially I see that in Munich, in Bavaria, but also in northern Germany. And some families are coming regularly for spending their vacations and making, in the same time, a medical checkup. And when I meet Qatari officials in ministries, in government institutions, very often when I ask them, "Oh, have you been recently to Germany?" Sometimes they reply, "Yes, because of my job, I have to go regularly there." And sometimes they say, "Only on private visits. I spend my vacation every summer with my family in Germany." I didn't expect that in these high numbers, that Germany is visited quite often by Qataris and other Gulf Arab nationals regularly during the summer. That's wonderful. And I think this is a business sector which will grow further. Our engagement in favor of Gaza and the West Bank since the events of October last year increased considerably for the civilian population in Gaza by more than 160 million euro to a total of 240 million euro to date. And in this crisis, it remains the largest humanitarian donor to the Palestinian territories. And our engagement is based on three pillars: intensive humanitarian diplomacy aimed at swiftly creating the conditions to facilitate durable humanitarian assistance for the civilian population in the Gaza Strip; extensive humanitarian assistance via the United Nations network, as well as the Red Cross and the Red Crescent movement; and bilateral support in the region. Dr. Potzel has been appointed by Federal Foreign Minister Baerbock as special envoy for the Middle East humanitarian issues in addressing all the challenges coming out of the incredible bad humanitarian situation for the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip, and second also in the West Bank. She, as you mentioned, has traveled repeatedly to the region. She was in Doha, she was several times, of course, in Cairo, in Amman, in Beirut, in Ramallah. And her major aim is to find possibilities for coordination of the aid. I think the first problem, of course, is the access. And the access is is important, and we do a lot of pressure towards Israel to let more humanitarian aid into the Gaza Strip. That is also stated by the International Court of Justice, who ordered that, and we are supporting the International Court of Justice in that case to do so. But secondly, there is plenty of humanitarian aid, like Qatar is one of the biggest donor, of course, but there is a lack of coordination between the donors. It doesn't make sense to transport the same item 100 times, 10 others are missing. So we need coordination. And the special envoy, Mrs. Potzel, tries to bring together the donors and have a better coordination on our efforts, which is not an easy task because there are so many donors, and there are many countries who provide, let's say, for example, Jordan, with doctors, but they lack of equipment and field hospitals. But this is something we could help and give assistance, like others, like France, like Italy are doing. So that is quite a challenge to bring these things under one umbrella. Yeah, as I mentioned, most of our assistance is channeled through United Nations organization with which we have worked together for decades. So we know them well, they know us, they have offices in Germany, we have contact to them in Geneva, in New York, wheresoever. So this is well established and this functions very well. So the federal government has always been advocating to channel international help through United Nations organizations. They are very effective, and they are already on the spot. That is very important. There are other countries, they prefer to channel it on a bilateral basis, which is also okay, but sometimes there are problems, let's say checkpoints at the border. International organizations know better how to deal with these situations. Or the International Committee of the Red Cross and the Red Crescent, they are well experienced and they have excellent personnel with whom we are dealing. We stopped for a certain period of time new, fresh money for UNRWA, but we have continued all the time, even after this scandal came up that a few people working for UNRWA supported the terrorists. We continued to implement our projects. This has never stopped. I saw it in the media, I saw it also in the media in Qatar, but unfortunately this is not true. The reality is we continue our work, but there was, for a certain period of time, a stop in new projects. And UNRWA did not ask for a new project in this time because the United Nations, the Secretary General himself, said we have to set up an investigation to check what is true, what is not true in the allegations. We have full trust in the United Nations, in the Secretary General, to shed light into this case. Yeah, we very much welcome that, and we are in regular contacts with the team. I mean, it's under the supervision of the Emir, and the Prime Minister and Foreign Minister is responsible, and an important role play the two State Ministers, Al-Khatter and Al-Kholefi. With Al-Khulaifi, I am in a constant contact, especially on the issue of the hostages. I mean, Qatar brought last November an agreement, and now we are all hoping for having another one to get freed the remaining hostages. Unfortunately, this has not been the case so far. But the tireless efforts, really day and night work of the colleagues in the Qatari Foreign Ministry are highly appreciated by the German government, and that is a wonderful job, and we welcome very much that Qatar has so many channels of communications, and this is proven by the handling of this crisis that this is really an asset.
Thank you so much for your time and for this interview. Thank you.
Thank you. We're most welcome.